Well, good evening, Dennis. We meet again.
Are you? Yes, we do.
Here we are once again.
We are once again.
Together again. What hour is it, Dennis?
It's happy hour.
Is it happy hour?
We clink our glass to the mic. Bam.
Ow. Man, that's right in someone's ear, man.
So this is St. James Wild Amber from Paw Paw, Michigan. And at some point, I need to read you the label.
You guys have the weirdest names in
extraordinary.
Michigan.
It's extraordinary.
Paw Paw, Kalamazoo, Timbuktu. What's going on up there, man?
Well, it's just, who knows? It's just something in the water. Paw Paw Brewing Company, PBB. We make it, you drink it, everybody's happy.
It's just that simple.
And then down in yellow highlight, it says, your journey begins with a single sip.
Well.
And then down below
there. But how does it end?
There's a man, a computer-generated man carrying a backpack of a keg of beer, is saying, take a walk on the mild side. It's mild amber. Here, look at the guy.
I get it, on the mild side.
And then there's another message somewhere. Oh, here it is. This is the best one. The path of the righteous beer is beset on all sides.
Yes.
By beers that are, frankly, less righteous.
Nice.
And then, of course, you go back and it says, you drink it, we make it, everybody's happy. And you're thinking, yeah, because you read all the stuff. It's like a St. James mild amber. It's like a little novella.
That's some good marketing copy.
It's great stuff. It's good beer, too. I mean, it's good. I'm not drinking anything other than amber lately.
I'm going to look up an image of that label and put it in our show notes.
That's great.
At happyhour.fm/011, because this is episode 11. We've taken it up to 11.
Whew.
Do you know how to say St. James in Spanish?
Amigo Jaime.
Close. Have you ever heard of the name Santiago?
Yes.
That, turns out, is St. James, because somehow James went to Miami, went to Iago, became Santiago.
It might have been his name before he changed it to James, because it was too Spanish sounding, and he was in a place where they didn't like Spaniards. Right. So he changed it to James.
Well, and Santiago is really important in Spain because at some points in like 1300 something, even though this is, I think it's still the same St. James that was around when Jesus was around. Like, he came back from the dead and like killed a whole bunch of Moors to defend Spain or something. So he's like this hero in Spain. It's pretty weird, all the saint worship that we have here. But that's an aside.
And it's worldwide, actually, with the Catholic Church.
Right, of course.
I grew up Catholic. I was a altar boy. I was later I was a reader, and as an altar boy, I got in trouble because when I was I was in grade school. No, I was still an altar boy when I was a freshman. I was in 8th grade, and I wrote and published an article for U.S. Catholic magazine. And when they notified me it had been published, I was jubilant and told my parents, and I had written this thing about baptism. Mm-hmm. And they didn't read it. I think I probably gave it to them or whatever. And that Mass, the visiting priest, Father Rosello, who was going to be one of my high school teachers, during the sermon in front of the whole congregation, he asked to see me after Mass, which is not just unusual. I've been going to Mass 6 days a week my entire life.
Wow.
Up till this point, and I never had heard anybody called out, and it couldn't be good. So I go in the sacristy where the priest puts on his robes and his wine and stuff is stored, and he started punching me in the arm like a machine gun, bam, 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 bam. Not, hurting me terribly, but punching me enough that I backed me up against the wall, and how blasphemous that I published this thing about baptism, because in it I called for baptism being delayed for 12 years until the child had been educated in all religions,
right,
and could choose. And the magazine, unbeknownst to me, published it and wrote in the precept. It would be great if you could find this. It was a long time ago, but it said in the precept that it was like, this is an example of why Catholic education is failing in our Catholic schools, because this miscreant, right till you read this from a sinner, and they published the name of I don't know.
This miscreant,
and I got in all sorts of trouble.
This miscreant had the gall to
question,
to suggest that maybe we allow people to choose their own religion rather than force it down their throats when they're babies.
Well, yeah, although that's a bit over the top for what we do. The baptism ceremony is actually pretty wonderful, except for the baby, who, of course, is thinking that at the tender age of so many weeks, he or she are actually being brought into a public display where they will be drowned in front of everyone.
Exactly.
The water is poured, the baby chokes, the baby cries, and everyone is, oh, but the baby's like, what the fuck? What's going on? Well,
I mean, hopefully you would have bathed the baby before, but just not in public. It's the public aspect that's...
But not pouring water over a forehead. Let's say that the person who's holding the baby, the mother and the father hold the baby together. Let's say that just before they pour the water on the forehead, the baby's head is no longer quite enough kind of upside down for the water to run off the back of the head, but there's a forward motion. The baby's head rises. The water pours on the forehead, down the eyes, in the nose. The baby squelches, sucks the water up his or her nose, bursts into tears, snot running everywhere, and everyone goes, oh, but now
You've been waterboarded.
Water baptism. Well, let's think about this.
You put the towel over the baby's nose and mouth.
We could make money off this. What do those babies know? We don't know what they know. You know why we don't know? Because we never
torture them enough for them to talk.
No. Well, and you remember about getting tears from babies. These you don't want to sell. These would be tragic. But no, I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm just saying that we can make money off it somehow. We got to think about that.
No, but that's a something that they've sort of quieted down now, because religion feels like it's no longer in politics, like it was when George W. Bush was in office, where everything was all... I mean, there's still a bunch of, anti-abortion stuff, but that's very religious based. But when Bush was in office, it was very, I'm making policy because God is telling me how to do it. And now we haven't...
quite that clear.
Well, okay. But anyway, and of course now we have a monkey who's just repeating whatever he sees on TV.
What did you call him?
But... God, we made it. Not a monkey. We made it 2 whole shows without saying that word.
He's an orangutan.
Remember, 3 shows ago, the show title was "Enough with the fucking monkey stories," and then we made it 2 whole shows without talking about monkeys, and I slipped up. I apologize.
Why, are they banned or something?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can go back to monkey stories now. We're on a hiatus, a simian hiatus.
Did one of our 2 listeners complain?
Well,
did your father complain? That's probably what happened.
No, I haven't heard any complaints. But hold on, let me get back to where I was going. Some of the back when Bush was in office, and we had this what they were called militant atheists. These Richard Dawkins and those type of people, Christopher Hitchens, and one of Dawkins's points that he made some documentaries and stuff was how awkward it is to say this is a Jewish baby, or this is a Christian baby, or this is a Muslim baby, whereas we don't say this is a Democrat baby and this is a Republican baby and this is a communist baby, because for politics we understand that the child should grow up a little bit and learn to think and form their own opinions. But for religions, it's you are labeled as before you know Adam from Eve, not to make a great pun in here, but that you can that we label people, and of course 98% of people are the religion of their parents, which doesn't imply that we're doing a whole lot of critical thinking on what religion we should choose.
Well, unless
I pulled that number out of my ass.
98% of the public thinks their parents were right. They're not, they're not like, they're a bunch of monkeys.
Who knows what monkeys believe in,
Oh, I do. I had sessions with small groups and larger groups where the in this case, the spider monkeys, it was like an AA meeting.
Was there a shrine?
Huh?
Was there a shrine? Was there a sacrifice or something?
No. There's nothing violent about it. You seem to tend toward the violent intonation. It's been a couple of shows now. In I think it was the last one.
Look, all the major religions have violence as a key piece.
Trying to change the subject. We're talking about you here, not a religion. You're not doing it because of your religion, are you? That you're tending toward violence?
Well, I don't know.
Well, maybe you should think about it. Maybe you should go to church and think about it.
Well, I'm not tending
to the church of your parents.
I was supposing
heathen.
I'm not tending towards violence. I was maybe projecting that the monkeys might have been, needing to sacrifice to the monkey god.
That's what you want them to do because you've grown toward violence.
Are the monkeys?
I don't know.
Are the monkeys monotheistic?
No. There's the monkey god of bananas. There's the monkey god of cold water. There's the monkey god of volcanic ash.
Right.
They all look different. Volcanic ash, if it's heated properly, becomes a nice little topping over their sundaes. Banana sundaes are big, so they'll do anything for banana sundae. But
hey, remember when we were talking about the god Vesuvio?
Vesuvio. No. The name's familiar.
We did once.
Vesuvio.
But when I was in Paris, there was a Cafe Vesuvio that I took a picture of because I wanted to send you.
Well, you didn't.
But I didn't.
But I'll tell you what.
Didn't follow through.
What a great name to name a child. Vesuvio. Oh my God.
Vesuvio, clean up your room.
Vesuvio is, what grade are they in? First grade.
Right.
And they go around the room and they say, so what's your name? What's your first name? And he says, but by then he knows how to say it. So he says, Vesuvio.
Right.
And so the teacher's like, well, that's rather, powerful way to pronounce your name.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid repeats it. Vesuvio.
You will call me Vesuvio.
Yes, that's what happens.
Right.
Is that because it's not just the sound of the name, it's the character of the name. The child in first grade talks just like you did and says, that is how you will speak to me. And on and on. So
right.
the name suits.
Right.
Him. Could be a woman.
Vesuvio, you didn't do your homework.
Vesuvio
doesn't do homework. Well, I don't know.
Maybe a little stronger than that. I spit on homework.
Exactly.
Unnecessary fodder for weak minds and weak teachers who can't seem to get their lessons affixed with a time frame given to them.
My children's school, homework is prohibited. The principal has read some articles and seen some TED Talks and has concluded that homework in elementary school that it's detrimental. The children should be playing just all the fucking time playing. Who needs to learn? So maybe like there's some evidence that that's a reasonable thing. Like there's a Michael Moore documentary where he was like I forget the name. I'll look it up for the show notes. Where he was looking at foreign countries and seeing what do they do better than America.
Yeah, right.
And he went to Finland, and
yes.
In Finland they were like, no, we don't give homework. We let the children out to play and climb trees and get hurt however they do, and we don't start doing really academic homework until they're 13 or something.
Yeah.
And you think, well, that's crazy, but then Finland has the highest test scores of high school students, and you're like, well, shit, I guess we can't I guess maybe, having kids be super worried about grades when they're in the third grade isn't the right way to go. But
work the body, grow the mind. Work the body, grow the mind.
Does your phone have a silence mode?
Are you going to edit all this out?
I'm going to edit the part where I'm telling you to shut your fucking phone up.
Well, I forgot. I thought you might be calling me. I don't know.
Well, hey, Dennis. See, I'm calling you.
Sorry.
Okay. You're forgiven this time.
Okay, Ragmuffin. I see your forehead healed nicely. The skin's barely, it's red and peeling, but otherwise.
Thank you. I'm saving it to peel off in one big piece, like an onion.
Yeah, you know what you do with that? You put it on your face and you act like you're Hannibal Lecter trying to escape from somewhere and let your violent tendencies take over. You know the rest of the story. But skin like that is useful for escapes. Well, save it.
Or what if it was just, if I peeled it off, but then I sort of put it back on, and then like a cartoon character, if I needed to get out somewhere really quickly, I could just run and my skin would sort of stay behind briefly before fluttering to the ground.
That would work.
It's like
that would work.
Or I could pretend to be an insect and I could be, I'm molting.
Do insects molt, or are we talking like a nacra?
Insects.
Spiders.
I don't know about arachnids. Well, I know what certainly molts are like lobsters and those sort of critters.
Well, that's a crustacean.
Yeah, that's true. So very good.
Certainly not an insect. If a lobster were an insect, we'd be fucked because they're so big.
Yeah, but right? Have you ever looked at a lobster? You're basically eating a big insect. But no, there are insects that molt. I know because they leave their skins, their casings around on my walls, and I have to go and clean them off.
So, because you sunburn so much, why don't we do an experiment where you research what lotion you need to accelerate this process, and you rub that all over your body, and you go to the beach with a blanket and a sheet, a nice linen sheet, and you lay naked, and we mostly you, but we create an entire body casing of skin that if we slice it off one side
and
pull it off, and you climb out of it, then what can we do with that? We could sell it. No, we could. Hey, one
layer of Eric's skin.
I know. By then we'll have so many listeners that will say, "You can be Eric," right? And
you can wear Eric's skin.
No, you can be in his skin. How close do you want to be with Eric? Really close. You can be in his skin, and so they go. They get in it, and they also have some kind of lotion or something.
I would hope you would lubricate before putting me on,
so to speak.
Right.
Too many images flood my mind, but there you are. Then you climb in the casing, and they take on your continence, and they can get up, and it lasts for, I don't know, until it falls off. Probably what? To stay out of the heat.
Right.
Just go to cool. That would be the requirement. You gotta. If you want it to prolong, you got to hang out in a cooler.
Right.
So you set up a cooler where they invite their friends, and then they can act like you. And
that sounds like fun.
They could do a podcast. Well, God, what would they pay? $10,000-$12,000?
Oh, I know. Well, this is our this can be a goal for our Patreon. Whoever gives us $10,000 in our Patreon.
It gets, yes.
Yeah, it's patreon.com/happy hour, I believe it is. You go there, you make the biggest donation, and I will give you one layer of my skin. Because
entire casing. Entire casing
of all, the whole occupation. Skin. Right, skin for, yeah.
Entire casing awaiting integration or awaiting
assimilation. Yeah.
Assimilation or copacetic communication.
Bonding, yeah.
Bonding?
I don't know.
Hey, we could make it permanent for more money. And before they get in the casing, put in that all-purpose glue.
Right.
Goop glue, so they, or maybe don't tell them, and then charge them to take it off. That's a lot of money.
You'd like to be de-Eric'd? Well, too bad. It's going to cost you a lot of money.
And you know what? It'll be in the contract they sign. And you know what? They won't read it.
No, of course.
And there we have them.
But I mean, looking and acting like me, I mean, you're going to make a lot of money. So.
What if some of your tendencies become super apparent in them? Like, let's just say your violent tendencies. What if, when they put on the casing, they become murderous? And
what if all the crimes they commit have my fingerprints?
It will.
Well, that's not good. I think we should roll this back.
Burn them off.
Okay.
Melt them. Or give them somebody else's fingerprints. So because set somebody up right from the start.
Yeah, but
Get them to fill out a form of the person they'd most like to see incarcerated for the rest of their life, and then get that person's fingerprints and put those fingerprints on. And so when Eric won, I mean, how many will there be? 40, 45, 46? E1, E2, E3.
Am I Eric Zero?
Your base point, ground zero. Yeah. So
is this not the plot of the movie Face Off?
Oh, Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. Oh my God!
What a ridiculous plot for a movie.
Oh, it was a great movie. It was great. The special effects were fabulous.
Is that John Woo? I think.
Love those guys. I'd see it again. That's funny.
Yeah.
Face Off. John Travolta. What a career.
Face on, face off.
Like I said, put the wax on, take the wax off. I was a little off.
Eric on, Eric off.
Whoa. Eric on, Eric off. Oh.
Yeah.
So, but I think you're going to have to start using some of your airtime to describe
what it's like being inside the skin.
Why it's so fucking great being you, right? So that people are like, oh man. And I think you should describe your dance nights.
Oh, right? Many they are. My son came into my office today and said, "Hey, I've got a riddle for you." My son is 6 years old, and so I was intrigued. And the riddle goes like this. Let's see if you can solve it, Dennis. There's a guy that is dead. There's a dead body. And then Sophia comes into the room, and she screams. And then another guy comes into the room. We'll call him Dennis. And Dennis turns on the light. Who killed the guy? Dun, dun, dun.
Of the two?
Sure, of the two. That's what I said. Was the perimeter sealed at the time? Do we know that this is like a Clue scenario where no one came into the mansion or left the mansion?
So you know what the answer is to the 6-year-old?
Yeah,
you did.
Right.
Right, and go there with that, and then it's a learning thing about why they shouldn't kill people.
So the actual answer is that clearly Sophia killed the person. Because she screamed before the lights were on. How could she have known there was a dead body if the lights were off? Very good. Which, I said, well, I don't know what the jury is going to say about that, but it's a for 6-year-old logic skills that I was impressed. I think it's pretty good. The other thing, because he didn't name the second person that came into the room and turned on the light, when he said, who killed the person? Well, I was like, well, you only gave me one name, so... So a fatal error. Yeah. So did you punish him for making that mistake? He's been in his room ever since. What, a couple days? Well, it was bedtime, so... But I thought that was a cute... yeah. I don't expect murder mysteries from my... kindergartner, 6-year-old. But whatever. You heard that at school from a friend, or I don't know where it came from. Who are you talking to? Punish him until he tells you. Right. The guy with all the knives on the corner, I think, might have been. The guy who has the shovel in his backyard with innumerable garden beds that seem to be all those mounds. Helter skelter. Right. He lets all the local boys come and jump on the mounds in his garden to try and lure him down, but. Yeah, I'm sorry, I went dark again. You did. I don't know, man.
You know the commentator, the political commentator and writer, New York Times, David Brooks.
Yes, I've heard of him.
So I met him in the Kalamazoo airport.
Uh-huh.
We were the only two people at 6:30 in the morning waiting for an early morning flight.
Did you recognize him, or did you say, "Hey, what's your name?"
Him.
Right.
I said, "Hello, David. It's amazing to see you here, and I listen to you and follow your work all the time. It's good to see you." And I said it in such a way that the conversation could have ended there.
Right. Which is the appropriate way to approach a celebrity to say your piece. It's like putting all the impertinent information in the subject line of an email. Say,
right.
Look, hey, I love your work. Thanks for what you do. You can walk away from me now if you'd like.
Open it up or not, whatever. Right. But he wanted to talk, so we had a very nice conversation for 10, 15 minutes before we boarded our plane. And I asked him, well, it's a serious topic about why he didn't report on criminal justice. And he said, it's kind of complicated.
No.
And I thought, this, I don't know if he's an economist.
Right.
I think that he is, but he certainly is a adroit, commentator on economics. But to hear him say that it's like complicated, it's like, yeah, man.
That's why it needs to be reported on.
And he said he toyed with it a little bit, and I said, you should look into it. And he said, well, is that what you do? And we talked about that a little bit. Mm-hmm. But like a lot of celebrities, you have a image of them,
right?
And because he's on TV, you know what he looks like, but you don't know how tall he is.
Yes, height is a big surprise when you.
He's a relatively short man. I mean, I'm 6 foot. He was probably, I don't know if he's listening. I mean, I'll give him an inch. He was 5'7". I mean,
right.
I don't know. And you don't want to say, wow.
You're a little fella, aren't you?
Come here, you little cute little fella. Let me mess up your receding hairline. No, and guys that are short, actually, they don't want to talk about it.
Right.
You say, whoa, Napoleon, what the fuck? But I don't know. I liked him a lot, and I like his commentary a lot. I've got a lot of respect for him. It's too bad he's so short.
Who's the most famous person you've met? Maybe take away politicians.
Oh, well.
Or use a politician.
Because I was going to say Jimmy Carter.
Okay.
And, all sorts of governors and whatnot, but I wouldn't put them in that level of fame.
Our dear listener, my father, told me recently that Jimmy Carter is really accessible as a former president. That apparently you can drive down to Georgia to where he lives and go to his Sunday school class that he teaches every Sunday, and apparently there's a couple dozen people that do this just sort of as tourism every Sunday, and you can go in and have a chat with him. That he's just that down to earth, and
he's remarkable, and he's the best. He's the best former president we've ever had. He had a rough time.
What a backhanded compliment.
Well, that is to say he had a rough presidency. He wasn't reelected. There's a reason for that.
Right, exactly.
It's a little unusual. But, he's a good man. He didn't strike the political chord that the public required. He was actually, as politics go, completely too forthright. I'm not sure that the powder blue sweater was the best idea.
Right.
For the fireplace talk. And he's probably listening and saying it wasn't powder blue. That's so.
70s fashion was a minefield for everyone, I would imagine.
Not for me. I wore elevated burgundy and gray shoes. Uh-huh. I wore high cuffed bell bottom, a madras, hip hugger pants, red, like a Scottish red plaid with a black belt with an oversized buckle, mm-hmm. tight shirt with frills and French cuffs, open, and a top hat, a round bowler.
Was your collar wider than your shoulders, or?
Well, no, it was balanced, about halfway.
Okay.
About halfway, and I would go to the clubs dancing like that, and I fit right in. But the shoes were to die for. Not only were the heels elevated, but the soles were elevated. So they made you a lot taller.
Right.
And when you see women, particularly,
there's a lot of short women that wear those these days.
Very, very high. Heels. Well, you know how they walk? Well, imagine having to dance with that chicken walk. I'm not sure that it was all that high, but
right.
But yeah, but back
it felt high.
Well, it felt teetering.
Right.
Actually, and the drink I drank at the time, I'll remember the name of it in a minute. But it was 2 shots, one of whiskey and one of schnapps.
Healthy,
and,
yes.
A stinger. No, yeah, a stinger. A stinger. It was, and it was great. I mean, it was job, And I remember dressed in this strange outfit, right?
Right.
With, I don't know, you can imagine what I look like, but it was, I mean, it's got to be, I don't have any pictures, thank God, but whatever. But sitting at the bar in this disco, and because I had been, put into a sorrowful mood by a woman that I was dating,
that happens.
I lined up 5 stingers.
Oh, shit.
With straws. And drank them, sip, 5 in a row. And my best friend and my roommate came in knowing where he would find me. It was late, and he was worried.
That's not a good, especially on precarious heels. That's not.
Oh, well, but here's the good news. When he found me, I was forehead to the bar, and several of the glasses were empty, but the last couple weren't.
Well, moderation.
So, well, apparently.
Forced moderation.
Don't try this at home.
That's a thing that modern young people are going to have to deal with, is that there are photos of them out partying, of all, that aren't going to go away. You're really pleased that there aren't any photos of you that night, right?
Yeah.
Oh God. But
or that year.
Right. Exactly.
Actually.
But the modern youth is going to have those photos of, findable on the internet, and it's going to. That's why the European Union has made some law where companies have to provide a way for you to delete your history with them, because this is a common problem where you go into a job interview and you say my name is Dennis and I want to work here, and they go and search your name on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and they find that Dennis parties a lot. And,
is this you naked
what are
in
these
a fountain,
right?
Drinking champagne and stingers, dressed in high-heeled boots, and that's bad enough.
Maybe we don't
pants.
Right.
Maybe we won't hire you.
Maybe we don't want you for this accounting job or whatever. So that's an issue going forward.
Well, hey, to tie this up as we close down a little bit, we got to start closing down here. Here's the thing. That's why what you just said, that story is why we will make so much money with the Eric casing. Because all those people need to do is crawl into your skin, and all that other stuff goes away. And all anyone has...
They don't have to put on your disco clothes, too, right? Just my skin?
No. Did you wear... You didn't dress that way, did you?
No, but now I kind of want to.
Well, I must admit I kind of want you to. I think that the next podcast, you should dress that way, and we can post the pictures. But I want to see you, particularly with the bowler. You know what I used to do? I used to take it off, and I used to tap it on my head, back of the head, front of the head, like a machine gun, right? Because I saw that in one of the old movies where someone was introduced with a man with a bowler, and he tipped, instead of tipping his hat, he shotgunned it or not shotgun, but
Yeah.
machine gun.
Yeah.
Bop, 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 bop. One in front of his head and the back of his head. Are you with me on this? How cool that is? I could do that.
I mean, that'd be pretty sexy to like a beetle or something that waiting for vibrations to.
Gotta get those sweet, good vibrations are happening to me. That's it. That's it. That's the song. Copyright it. Good vibrations.
Good vibrations.
Sell it.
Well, I mean, it goes both to Beatles and the that's what crickets do, which is probably why Buddy Holly's band chose that name.
So
because of the vibration.
Fade out here with two things. One,
hold on, I've got enough story. But go ahead.
I'm not. But when we do fade out, Brian Wilson, Good Vibrations. Turn the volume down. The sound of crickets. Volume up. End.
Yeah. See, I don't know how much of a song you can use before they send lawyers after you.
Just the right amount.
Just the right amount. Good vibrations. Yeah. Or we could just do it a cappella, you and me together.
Good. You ready?
We can't do this on time, but yeah, you go ahead. I'll join in.
No, well, okay. What are the words?
Oh,
gotta keep those good vibrations happening to you. Gotta keep those good vibrations are happening to you. Gotta keep those good vibrations.
Nice.
Good.
I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me excitations.
Good vibrations.
There you go.
La da da. La da da. That's
in my elation, excitation. All those good words that end in shun are.
Well, so maybe when you remix, you can add a little harmony because you've been like dull as a post on the other side here. I mean, I'm doing this. Here I am. Put myself out there. I'm not, by myself.
Yeah.
You were going to join in. You said, "Go ahead. You start, and I'll join in."
I was going to do some bebops or something, but
it's grab you, or
it's been a while since I've heard that particular version of the song that you were doing.
That version? Yeah. It's my own version.
Well, there you go.
You had another anecdote.
Today, my 6-year-old goes to an extracurricular class called multisport, and the idea is he learns various sports and gets sort of a sampler of all the different sports, basketball, baseball, whatever. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Right.
But a lot of the time they spend, according to what he tells me, when I say, "Hey, what'd you do in multisport?" A lot of it is just sort of organized playground games. And today, because we're at the end of the semester, there was a special parent-child day of multisport. So I went with him to multisport,
fun.
And the teacher got there a little bit late, but whatever. And we all sat around in a circle. The circle being the center circle of, I guess, what is an indoor soccer court, and we all and the teacher said, "Okay, today we're going to do this and this and this, and okay, everybody stand up. We're going to do stretches," and we all did some stretches, whatever stretches they normally do, and then we played playground games. But these are playground games that aren't the playground games that I played, most of them, because they're from a different country. And
right. So you had to learn them.
So when they said, "All right, now we're going to play Avalanche," and I was like, well, what the? So,
right.
So I had...
Which is you basically falling down on your child.
Right. So
nearly smothering him, but he escapes.
But
I'm sure
the teacher explained a little bit, but then I could ask my son, I said, "Hey, how do we play this?" And so Avalanche in particular was a 3 people are chosen to stand across what is basically the center line on, we'll say a basketball court to make it easier to visualize. And all the other people, because there were like 10 other kids and 10 other grown-ups, have to try and run from one side of the court to the other without getting tagged by the people that are, but the people are locked onto the center line. You can't leave the center line. So, you know, it's pretty easy to get by the first time, but then whoever got tagged is also added to the center line team. And so then it's even harder to get by, and it gets harder and harder and harder and harder until basically, you know, you're locking arms, forming an impassable place. But that was kind of cool. And then we got to play Duck, Duck, Goose, which is always fun. But you had to, the parent and the child had to be holding hands the whole time. So we're sitting around in a circle, and someone says goose, and they hit you on the head, and you have to get up with your child and run around chasing the other parent and child that is trying to go run around and sit back in your spot.
Oh God!
And I'm pretty sure my son actually left the floor part of the time when I was carrying him around, you know, just with the centrifugal force. But it was just an all around good, wholesome time, and it occurred to me, you know, why don't adult gyms have playground games where you're playing tag?
Listen, man,
we can make a lot of money here. Is that what you're going to say?
Of adult games, and I'll have to remember the name of it. But when I was a counselor in a group home, we used this book of games when we turned over from the 48-hour staff who were in the runaway shelter working to the new 48-hour staff. And the way that we turned over the staffing was we played an adult game. Mm-hmm. And in that adult game, during that game, as part of our training, we learned that we had a male and a female partner in this runaway shelter. And I would say, let's say Eric was my guy coming in to replace me, I would say to the kids individually and then in larger settings, you know, because I had a good relationship with him, which was my goal during my 48 hours, to say what a great guy Eric is and how much I like him and how much we're alike. And I do that publicly, and then I make sure that with the kid that there's interaction with the three of us, and then eventually over the hour and a half turnover, Eric is now having a conversation with the child without me.
Right. And you slowly back away. And right. Mm-hmm.
But this game book was fabulous. Fabulous. And it included a game that was about a dragon. And it was the dragon from, might have been the dragon from Tolkien books, but Smog.
Yeah.
Smog the Dragon is the name of it. So that's how you'll find it. But you get a big circle of people, and in the middle is you as the dragon, and there's a handkerchief or a bright colored scarf, and that's the diamonds. And the goal of the group is to snatch them, but if you tag them, they freeze in place, which complicates the playing field, positive and negative in a different couple of ways. And when the circle of people learns, as wolves do, to come in together so that it's not me and then you and whatever, it gets very complicated, but it's very physical.
Right.
So you play it on the lawn, and it's an example of this. You know what it's called? New Games. That's the name of it, New Games. So we can promote that.
Yeah, that's very cool. One of the games we did was a modified tag where you some person starts off as it, and whoever he tags has to hold his hand, and then the both of you are trying to tag other people, and eventually you get this longer and longer chain.
Wow!
And
cool.
it became very apparent. I was like the third person tagged. That when you've got 3 or 4 people in your chain, it's really important to declare a singular target that you're going to go after, because otherwise you're like trying to stretch and break and touch all these other, you see people and you're focusing on another person that's running by. So we said, all right, we're going to go get that person. And this was the way they did it was the grown-ups against the grown-ups and the kids against the kids. So
interesting.
So, but eventually we had this chain of like 6 people that we could sort of wrap around like a fishing net around to our prey and capture them.
That's funny.
But
That's funny.
It's such a it's not a thing that we normally do or think about of that sort of game theory of physicality as adults.
Work
and
the body, grow the mind, right? I mean,
it was so cool.
So now you have shared experiences, which is the basis of longer lasting relationships rather than introductions and dinner parties. But and so the physical nature of it is in itself a binding influence because the competitive nature and the collaboration that's required as a team sport, all of these. So this new games, let's publicize this, but the name of the game I described is called Smogg's Jewels. Mm-hmm. And when we're together with our gang, let's play it on the beach. All right, now I got to go. Okay. So fade to Brian Wilson, then to Crickets.
Vibrations.
Gotta keep those good vibrations are happening to you. Gotta keep
cheep
vibrations
cheep cheep
happening to you.
Cheep 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 cheep. All right. If you've enjoyed what you just heard, you can support us by telling a friend or sharing us on social media. Monthly donations to help us pay for hosting and editing can be provided at patreon.com/happyhour. That's all one word, happy hour. All our episodes, including show notes for each episode, are available on our website, happyhour.fm. You can tweet at us at happyhour.fm, that's with a dot spelled out, happyhour.dotfm, or we can receive email at the same name, happyhourdotfm@gmail.com. It would also be great if you could give us a positive rating on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. That really helps other people find us. See you next week.